Welcome to the official Roll for Crit podcast for rollforcrit.com, where you can watch, shop, and play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and today is a historic day in board game history. Did you know?
No.
We're going to start off for now every week with what happened today.
Okay, what happened today?
This is the first day in history of board games that somebody flipped a table.
Really?
Yep.
You don't say.
It's Flip a Table Day.
It's Flip a Table Day.
Yep, so in honor of that, we're going to celebrate that with some stories about some Star Wars stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. We've played Imperial Assault. In fact, we had a playback for Star Wars Imperial Assault, and Fantasy Flight has just announced the next set of stuff that's coming out for it, and it is called the Bespin Gambit, and as the name implies, it takes place on Bespin, where you may remember Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back, and this set actually sounds pretty cool because it's a little different from the other ones, where Imperial Assault, it's very combat focused.
Right.
This one, it's very different environments. You're not on a battlefield. You're not on a snow-covered mountain or anything. You're in hotels and casinos, and it's much more about stealth and espionage. So your missions, it has its own campaign. Your missions are much more involved with like secret agent kind of stuff.
So, are the agents going to have their own board then or something? Or?
No, it's not that secret. It's just more like the themes of it. But there is a new condition called Hidden, which gives you better defense and makes people's accuracy worse against you and stuff like that. So it's more like the storylines are more oriented, but it is a little bit, they did add some kind of new combat techniques and stuff.
It does remind me a lot when we were talking about Star Wars Rebellion, how we actually like the idea of maybe adding more of just combat. There's more of a political side.
Right, exactly. And I think it's cool that the system is versatile enough that they can add that.
And of course, there's some new miniature packs as well.
Of course. Along with it, you got Lando.
Of course.
You've got Bosk. And some other.
I don't know the rest.
Some other ones. And there's also some new stuff for the Imperial side. There's like droids and little minions.
This is, I believe, the third sort of box expansion, not miniatures. Because there's always plenty of those.
I don't know if this, because Hoth was bigger, right? Or were they all the same
Hoth
size?
is bigger than what's it called? Twin Shadows?
Yeah, Twin Shadows.
I'm curious whether, because I know there's the alternate form. We haven't tried that yet.
You mean the skirmish mode? This
mode.
does have new stuff for skirmish mode as well.
So I wonder if Hidden's going to play a big role in that.
Probably will. And I'm glad you mentioned Rebellion, because that is out this week as well, or very, very short. Maybe next week. It's soon, right?
Soon.
I thought it was soon. Maybe we're just getting excited for it. It was supposed to come out like a month ago, so that's every week I think it's coming out. And
I know you're really excited.
But so lots of good stuff for Star Wars. If you're an Imperial Assault fan, you can look into that and play it. But that's kind of just, that's your standard run-of-the-mill new releases.
Yes, but of course, there are plenty of games out there you might want to play with families, but you're not sure if you want to buy it yet.
Well, boy, do we have the solution for you.
Well, we don't, but Barnes & Noble does.
When's the last time you walked into a Barnes & Noble?
I think recently. I can't remember when, but I had to go in there to pick up something.
Well, it was recently for me as well, and well, I'll talk about it in a minute, but the story is that they're doing this new thing where they have once a week, select Barnes & Noble locations are having game nights. And each week they're actually highlighting a different game. One of them is King of Tokyo, one is Lanterns, and there's a few other ones.
Yeah, they're really trying to focus, I think, more on the family game style, which I do think is in their interest.
Certainly, if you want casual people off the street.
I mean, I think this is just a very good idea. I mean, they already, at least I know the one near me, I'm pretty sure probably most of them have cafes or something in them. This is the perfect thing to draw in. I mean, a bookstore and game store I don't know why in my head seem to go hand in hand.
Well, it's interesting because this is what I want to talk about more is that in the last couple years, Barnes & Noble has really gone full in on the board game scene. It seems to me. I went to a Barnes & Noble the other week that I don't normally go to, and their selection was huge. Really good, and not just casual stuff
I actually remember it's been because I remember when, if you may remember, a while ago there's a store called Borders.
Right. Did they have board games?
Yeah, because I remember this is before I was into any board games at all. I remember when I would always go there for manga and stuff, the one of the things you walk by, I remember there's always this thing on, always like so cool. I'm like wondering what the hell it is. It said Kingsport on it. It was the Arkham Kingsport expansion with the tentacles. I'm always wondering like, what is that? And like they didn't have really anything else. I remember there was like in the small area with toys. It was like that and like but it stood out.
Is that because there's Arkham Horror books? Maybe.
I think so, but that's why it's sort of like weird how.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, the assumption is, right, with Kindles and Amazon, less and less people are going to stores for their books. I mean, that's why Borders closed, so they're kind of trying to fill some of that
Well, it's
gap.
also just the pricing.
What do you mean? Oh, because the books are cheaper online.
A lot of things online, yeah.
Right, yeah. And so I wonder if part of it is, it's something that you can't replicate online, at least in the same way you can easily with a book. So they're trying to get people to like have to come to a place and, oh, you're here for game night, maybe also buy some
yeah,
more
and especially
books
like consider like someone like me. What if you went there to play a game night? And you're like, okay, this is fun. Now that I'm here, the new Bleach book is out or whatever. If you're into kind of like if you go there for a serialized fashion, maybe you will be willing to buy that $10 book or something because you're already there.
Sometimes they have comics and stuff too, usually.
Exactly.
So they could hit the same market for that. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. I did check. There aren't any in our state of New Jersey that are doing this.
I'm shocked.
But there's a few in New York. There's a whole list online. You can find out the exact locations if you're interested in going. If you have family or if you just don't have a gaming group maybe and you want to meet some people who like board games, this could be the ticket for
Unless you live in New Jersey.
In which case you're out of luck. I apologize. Last news story to talk about is I don't really want to talk about it. We've kind of talked about it before, but I just thought we had to bring it up.
He's lying. He really wants to talk about it.
Vice, the online website, they have those now on the internet, released this article called "Board Games Are Finally Cool Now" or something like that. And it was we've had other things like this where it's yet another in a long line of articles that don't seem to realize that board games have been a thing for a while and act as if they're the first to discover that people don't just play video games, they play board games too.
It's these normal cools that you like to call them, invading your space.
That's basically what it is. Well, they're not even invading. They're like, it's like Columbus coming to America. It's just like, no, we're already here. But that's probably the first and last comparison anyone will ever make between board games and Columbus discovering America. But yeah, I don't know. So you can go and read it. I just something to mention, but I'm still tired of it. And I think most people are. And even if you look at the comments for the page, a lot of them are people saying like this is very.
Well, I know.
Simplified.
I think for me, while we didn't live, I'm going way back like 1940s, 50s, 20s. I feel like the idea of the stereotype of the nerd or the jock, at least from maybe media's perspective, it's something, and maybe it was actually seemed to be actually very separate. They weren't mixed. Nowadays, I don't really feel that exists as much. Like, I don't think there's nearly a stigma for simply playing a game or doing something.
Yeah.
The stigma comes from more general social acts, which, granted, some people in the
associated hygiene
Right.
issues and things like that.
But I don't think people are starting to realize, which I think is good, is that it's not connected directly to the medium. I mean. So, just because someone plays Dungeons & Dragons or something does not make them a loser. I mean, some of the most popular stars now talk about how they play games and stuff. Some of the nerdiest things are some of the more pop culture movie icons now.
Right.
I think that there are people like this who think like, oh, it's so new. It's like, no, we're all happy now. We're all just looking to have fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I should, overall, it is positive, if there's still people who aren't privy to the scene, as you might say, then it does get the word out further. I want to
It's the wording, I think.
It's a little bit of that too.
I have a feeling because it's not as much the idea that more people are playing board games. It's more like, as you said, it's more like, what? You guys see this?
Right, and there's also some stuff where they clearly didn't do that much research. Like they're just like, oh, we saw some people. Like they don't mention stuff like tabletop and Will Wheaton or other like seemingly obvious things that have been pushing the
and that's the other thing with the internet now. It's much easier to spread, and so everyone realizes, oh, I'm not the only one who likes board games anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, go read it. I like board games. We like board games.
I'd like to hear your topic on this. As Jonathan said, are we being invaded by the normal cools? Is this something that's been around forever? It's just these
just to
weird
clarify, you said that.
I am, but you like saying that.
You put those words in my mouth, and I spit them out. Anyway, Vice. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Just complain wordlessly to no one, except for our so many viewers. We have some interesting Kickstarters this week. The first one that I will inform you of. Oh, something just fell somewhere. The first one that I will inform you of is Heir to the Pharaoh. And this comes from designer Alf Siegert, who has done some pretty cool stuff, including the game called Muse, which was a Kickstarter that I backed a while ago that we enjoyed.
we played that and really liked that one a lot.
And this is a 2-player game. The idea is one player is the Egyptian cats and one player is the dogs.
Oh, are we playing cats and dogs Egyptian themed?
A little bit. And you're vying for power, for control of Egypt, essentially. And there's different ways you can do it. You gain favor from the gods. And you're
Like, do you actually have your own cat and dog gods?
Well, I think you are specifically Anubis, and I think Bast is the name of the cat.
Yes, because I know Bast appears in the Cthulhu verse.
Oh yeah, and and then there's also there's a bidding system, kind of like Cyclades, where the gods let you do certain things, and they're taking control of monuments on the board and other resources and things like that. I did think it's interesting. Does every Egyptian game seem to have a bidding component? Why is that such a...
Well, most Greek ones have
that too. There's something about with mythical gods that people...
Well, I think one of the things is with ancient cultures, like most of them, the main, I would almost call like the Mediterranean style ancient, like, Greek, Egyptian, they really sort of attract the Eurogaming crowd, I think, is a big thing.
That's true.
Because the thing is, you think that, but usually when we do see Egypt in Amero games and stuff, it's not just here's Egypt, it's Egypt, but there's a dark, deep secret.
Right.
So you don't think Egypt, you think Cthulhu. So that's the thing, because the Americans I like it, but let's spice it up.
Well, there is,
and then of course, then you get Gods of Egypt or something like that.
There is Favor of the Pharaoh, which is dice rolling, doesn't have anything like that. So yeah, I guess there's some things.
And there's the deck building one from AEG. I forget what it's called.
Oh, the Valley of the Kings?
Yes, Valley of the Kings.
Oh yeah.
But in general, I think that sort of
just
appeals to the Eurogame style and.
Anyway, this game looks cool. I think the art looks pretty neat, and the guy's got a good track record, so you can check that out. I think it's I have the prices too.
Yes.
Because just so you want to know, it's $39. Sure, it's worth it. And they have other goals for the other games as well, so it's cool. Next up.
Yes, this one is actually an RPG. Apparently, the Cipher system is a system used by 2 already published RPGs. The World, something in Numenera, I'm totally blanking on it, and Strange. Okay. So what this book is called The World of Cipher System. It's actually a book designed pretty much, it's like, if you like the Cipher system, here's a great book to know how to build characters in it for different worlds. So it's more like a build your own world using the Cipher system kit.
Huh, okay.
So it's not like strictly, like imagine instead of it's a really big DM Dungeons & Dragons player guide that tells you how to make a Dungeons & Dragons world using the system, the dice rolls, whether you want to make it a superhero, an ancient, a spaceship, like giving GM a lot of tools to really craft the world they want.
That's cool. So it's like if you want to create your own RPG, but you don't want to create your whole system from scratch, this kind of gives you those tools.
And what's also cool is if you don't like that, they actually have a bunch of books you can also buy with it for different scenarios. They have one that's like ancient gods are trying to come back and rebuild their power and stuff. They have one like superheroes that are like in a horror theme and stuff. One when you go back to the Cretaceous period, you have to like train dinosaurs and stuff. Yeah, like they have a lot. It's a really cool the idea, like so you can get books or strategies they've already made. They actually got, by the way, for each of those books I mentioned, they actually got famous like writers to help write the books and stuff, like old Dungeons & Dragons writers and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think that's really cool. Like there's really showing a lot of work in it. And then of course, like I said, the main product is like really great for if you're Jimmy, like. If you played a game that uses the Cipher system, you're like, I like this system, but I want to do a world like this. And they're like, all right, here's a book for that.
Yeah, I'm game.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Just the cover looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, dinosaurs and monsters. That's pretty cool. Maybe. Yeah. I know Numenera is a big one. I've heard that name a lot. So yeah, maybe we should. Because I do know any of the specifics, like in terms of. what separates this from something like Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't know off the top of my head. I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sure they have their own like weird ways dice rolls are counted or whatever. So, yeah, I'd be curious to try one of those. That one goes for $45. Gets you the book.
Right, but like I said there's 3 other books, and I
there's
know
the
they added
PDF
more. So
also.
whatever fits your style.
Yeah. So that's World of the Cipher system. Next, we're going back to board games. This one is very, very relevant, very timely, called Statecraft. It's a political-themed card game, and I feel like I've seen a bunch of these around Kickstarter, but...
No, usually poorly.
Yeah, they never quite kind of hit the mark. Or something seems weird about them, or they don't get funded, or... but it seems like a popular subject, and this one is basically this one is fictional. So there's not Democrats or Republicans. It's a fictional place, and you're like your own new party. And at the start of the game,
We are the Rofocritians.
Yeah, whatever you like. We pledge to. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But spoilers. We're running for office. You're trying to get supporters, you're trying to recruit politicians and things like that by playing certain cards. But what's I think really cool about this, besides I just like the art style, I think it just looks really nice. But there's events and scenarios that can change a lot from game to game,
Which makes sense considering usual political climates.
Yeah, and so it could be like there's a scandal, or it could be there's a natural disaster that occurred, and even the wind conditions change. They have a ton of different scenarios and starting setups and stuff. So that part really appealed to me. Just the very
Now, when reading this, I want you to tell everyone the tie rules.
Oh right, yeah. That's the other thing. There's you can get the print and play for free, which is awesome. And we also didn't mention for the Pharaoh game, you can play that in Tabletopia too. So we love when they let you try it out in advance. But yes, the rules for breaking a tie is to first they said watch some House of Cards and play again. But if you get 2 ties in a row, you have to just run for office.
Yep. First one to make it to the Oval Office wins.
So I like it. I think that's a good way to go.
I would love to see years from now, like, why are you running? Well, I got 2 ties and State of...
More games should do that. It's like if you tie in Ticket to Ride, you must go out and build railroads.
First one to cross the United States in a train car wins.
Only valid way to decide the other. And that's
No, you must play your next game on a train, and the winner of that one.
Okay. Whatever is more feasible to you at that time. Statecraft goes for $28. Check it out if you think it sounds cool. Finally, there is Pickpockets. This comes from Button Shy Games, and this is another in their series of wallet games, of which I have a couple.
Right, and this one's going fast. I believe there's by showing this, probably only about 5 or 4 days left.
Yes, when you're watching this, there may be...
If you're watching this as soon as we put it up.
The number is less than a week, if it hasn't been funded already. But what is cool about these guys, they do a lot of these. These come out pretty frequently, I feel, and they almost always have tiers for their previous games as well. And I think you can buy them on their site. So if you missed this Kickstarter, stay tuned if it sounds cool. Anyway, the game Pickpockets, it's literally a wallet.
Okay.
And there's money in it. Fake money, obviously. And you pass it around, and on your turn, you get to take money from the wallet. And some of the bills are marked. And whoever has the most money wins, but if on your turn you can claim to be the undercover cop, and if you do, then if anyone has more than 2 marked bills, they lose. So it's kind of a press your luck game where you want to take the most money, but you want to be careful. But if you get $100 before anyone claims to be the cop, you win, you get out. So you see how far you can go, or see if you think someone else is trying to cheat, et cetera, et cetera. So
interesting.
It's a simple kind of bluffing press your luck game, and these guys have done some cool stuff before. These games are very creative with a very small size thing, and it's only $8 to back it. Plus, they have all their other games.
I thought you were gonna say at first, like, you have the wallet, and while you're going through a game night, you see who has it at the end of the game.
It's not as meta as their game Pretense. That's what I thought when I first read it. I thought you were like, do you have to steal cards out of people's pockets? that would be a disaster.
That could be really awkward. Like, you just start to see someone reach behind you.
It's funny. I was just thinking about they'd sit on the card and ruin it. But yes, there also could be potential sexual harassment lawsuits. So that's not a good idea. But Pickpockets, that's a good idea. So look for that. And all these Kickstarters. And the only other one that we should mention is Pakka Games.
Which we actually did a video for 3 of their games.
4.
Oh, 4, right. I miscount.
So we're not going to talk about it here, but we did a whole preview video. You can find it on their page. We'll put a link to it. Definitely check that one out as well. We did have one little comment, but it's a very important one.
Okay.
If you'll recall, we didn't know. We needed to find out the proper term for a group of dragons. User Falcon Ash K came to the rescue. It is in fact a clan.
A
clan of dragons. I did not look this up to verify it, so he could just be making it up. But I think it sounds good.
I want to look it up now, because what if that only applies to one kind of dragon? Like, do Asian dragons have a different name?
Or even if, or what about like,
Wyverns versus like
green dragons versus.
Well, I mean, you tell
dragons.
us. You're the one who met. We only saw the green dragon. You're the one who read about him in our D&D
I'll make
campaign.
it up later in a later campaign.
Oh, we're gonna come across the green dragon again. And he's like, "We're not a clan. That's for those troglodyte red dragons."
Right. We're a regal. It's a noun now. We're a regal. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. And if you want to inform us about anything that we missed or don't know, please leave a comment, etc., etc. But before we go, an important subject I wanted to broach with you. And I don't use the term broach lightly. So this is something that happened a few weeks ago that I thought was interesting. We were playing, it has to do with the game of Hanabi, which we were playing. Which if you don't know what Hanabi is, go look it up. I'm not going to explain it here. So,
He's not.
And I know you just played a little Hanabi recently. And this is when we played the deluxe version, which I think we talked about a little bit after we played it. But I ended up having this discussion / argument with
someone online.
With someone in person, Neil, our friend Neil.
Was I there for this?
You were maybe there for pieces of it. I think you went down to get food. That's why you were playing
okay.
But the discussion was, I said that I felt like Hanabi, a lot of the times, I'm not always excited to play it. I think it's a great game. We did a playback on it, so you can see our discussion there. Just because I feel like it is stressful a lot of times to me. There's pressure involved in it, et cetera, et cetera. And then Neil said he didn't think Hanabi was stressful. He said it's a light game, and it's also cooperative, so there's no pressure in terms of PvP or anything like that. So we kind of had this debate. So I guess I wanted to talk about, I thought it was interesting what some people find stressful in games versus not, and whether or not stress is even a good or a bad thing, because in Hanabi's case, I think it's a good thing. I enjoy the stress in that game, but I don't always want it.
All right, so this is actually really interesting, because I actually played Hanabi yesterday, because I had some friends over before you came over. And we played it after, because we decided we wanted to play a lighter game. We just played the DC deck building game using the new mode, which we never tried before, in which you have teams, 2 good guys versus 2 bad guys, and mixing the set, which was a lot of fun, though it turned out to pretty much just be a slaughter against the villains. So they're like, we need something, a little bit relaxing. So we chose Hanabi. But I understand where you're coming from, and I think it's because this is very important. There are different forms of stress. And I think depending on who you are and what you're doing, certain stress is good or bad. For example, because it is cooperative, you are not getting that same kind of stress that you get in Battlestar. Like, I cannot take that stress a lot. I mean, I like the game, but one betrayal game at a time. Otherwise, I can't take it. Like, even though
Hanabi's about trust.
Well, Hanabi is more like a puzzle stress, which for me, I have a much larger threshold for.
I think, for me, what it is, the difference is, in Battle, I definitely agree Battlestar is more stressful.
No, but I mean, like I said, it's a trust stress, which I think...
And part of that is also Battlestar goes on much longer.
Yes.
But for me, what it is in Hanabi is the stress comes from disappointing my friends rather than betraying them, because if I'm a Cylon, then it's like, well, this is my job, I'm a bad guy. In Hanabi, it's if I play the wrong card, I feel like I screwed up so bad. I feel really bad.
I really like this because like I said, for me, so for me, the stress of the trust thing is more like. Let's go with another smaller game that has this issue, more like
The Resistance?
Yes, The Resistance. That is really a bit more stressful for me, in particular when I'm not just a normal guy. Like if I'm Merlin.
Right.
Like I'm so scared of who's going to be the one to hurt me and backstab me. But Hanabi, so I could say I like both games, but I probably could play more games of Hanabi than I could of Resistance.
I don't know if this is psychoanalyzing too much, but it's like your I don't want to say fear, your issue is with like being perceived or not perceived as loyal or good, or like being mistrusted for who you are or aren't. And mine is basically I don't want to look stupid. That's my fear.
Because the thing is, I know in Hanabi we have 3 strikes. So my goal isn't as much to make no bad moves or I don't know if that's right grammatically, without making moves as much as try to get to that point total. I know there's like a very good chance from playing Hanabi we're going to end one of those lines. That's usually going to happen. So my goal is as much as try to spread information as possible.
Right. So, and it's more about you guess you're saying you expect a little bit of failure.
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah.
But it's weird because I feel like the failure isn't anyone's fault. Like if you made a bad move, I mean, unless they're someone who's just really annoying.
Well, sometimes though it is like I know someone told me this, and I'm
not
not
but
sure.
even then I can understand of like losing. That's one of the reasons I actually like the tile. I feel like it's much harder because you could literally put the 2 tiles.
Right.
And some reason that helps more. I don't know why.
Yeah, it helps me too.
But the difference is in Resistance or Battlestar, if the traitor screwed you up, it's because someone else did it to you. And I think that's why, for me, it's more stressful. And I think this actually shows in our taste in other media. Like, you have a much stronger resistance and liking. It's not that I don't like them. It's just I can't watch some shows where that's maybe a bigger theme. So, no, I think I understand where you're coming from. I think it's just a matter of each kind of person.
And it's very interesting.
But like I said, then there's another form of stress, which we didn't touch on. And this is the one that I do think is neutrally just bad.
Okay.
It's when a game is just poorly made and like it's just hard to do things. I think, and this actually comes to something I read recently.
Go ahead.
And this is where I think it becomes interesting. Game balancing is sometimes in a game. This probably happens more in video games, maybe not as much board games, but you can make it so. I can make it so on your turn, I just counter or stop anything you try to do, so you don't really have a turn. So the stress doesn't come from backstabbing or betraying because you know you're fighting them. The stress just comes from I'm not playing anymore.
I guess I would say, I guess the kind of stress also in Hanabi is more like tension.
Yes.
Whereas I guess the bad kind that you're talking about is frustration.
Yes.
Yeah, you want suspense. And
no, yeah, I don't think there's nothing wrong with suspense. That's why I think Battlestar is a great game. I think it pulls it directly and thematically beautifully. But at the same time, it's just something that once we play it, I need,
And even, I guess, and you could say, like, Arkham Horror, too, there's stress of that you're all going to lose, potentially.
But you're all working together, so it's more like...
It's different.
However, there is one other frustration. This one, I guess, this does sort of go with the other one, but it's because of its luck. Thinking Arkham Horror, I mean, how many times have you played a game and you just... I keep rolling ones.
Right. Yeah. That can apply to almost any game. That kind of.
Which I think that's why a lot of people. There are certain people who don't like. I have a huge tolerance for random I like the dice roll. Some people have very little tolerance.
But even
for that.
we didn't talk about really just PvP games. I mean, any kind of game has that potential for. Yeah, just like, oh God, what am I gonna do? He's gonna attack me, or I'm gonna try and fail to attack him, or. There's a lot of, it's definitely...
No, I do think...
And most games, you have to have a little bit of it.
Yeah. There was actually a video I watched a while back. I forget which one it was, so I can't really say the link. But it was from these guys called the Vlog Brothers, and they talk about random topics back and forth. And he was talking about his own, how pretty much his dog was not doing well. It was really sad.
Okay.
But he was talking about how, while some people are able to do a lot more work and do things, it's because everyone has their own different stress level. It's not bad if you couldn't do as much as someone else. And I think that's the thing that we need to look. You need to look at for yourself and with other people. Everyone has their own stress levels for different kinds of stress or games or sadness or happiness. And that's why I think for you, when you said Hanabi, Hanabi hits the kind of stress for you that you don't have maybe as high as a tolerance. And that's okay.
We're all special snowflakes.
Well, it's more of once you recognize your tolerance, you can play better.
Right.
Because you can recognize what works better, and if you know other people's tolerance, you'll be like, okay, I really want to play this. So if I know Will doesn't have a high tolerance for backstabbing, I probably shouldn't line up Battlestar, Raku, and this all in a row. So you can plan better to make sure everyone has a better experience.
Sometimes I feel bad too, because I love Hanabi, but if someone mentions it, my gut reaction is, I don't want to feel bad.
That's fine, because that's the thing. That's why
I usually have fun once I play it. It's like jumping into a swimming pool.
Well, no, that's like with me with Battlestar. Like I enjoyed playing it every time, but every time though we tend to bring it up as a joke a lot.
Right.
So I'm always like, oh.
I think it's always the more traumatic aspects of something that stick in your brain more. Anyway, let us know where you land on the spectrum.
Yeah.
What games stress you out? What games don't? How do you feel about Hanabi versus the Resistance or anything else? Or if you just have a question in general or a subject you want to hear us discuss, again, you can leave a comment below on YouTube, or you could email us directly at rollforcrit@gmail.com.
And of course, there's so many other ways to reach us. There's Twitter at rollforcrit, and of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope sometimes. You know, we're everywhere.
I was trying to list other social media, but I couldn't even think of any. Like us, subscribe, iTunes, follow, etc., etc.
But like we said at the top of the video, there's always the website, rollforcrit.com.
Jinx. Yes, we sell lots of games, including both Hanabi and Battlestar Galactica.
And Resistance.
Yeah, oh wow, this is crazy.
So many great games.
What a great coincidence. So you can go check that out for yourself.
And of course, like we've been saying throughout the video, we also do plenty of news articles we'll post and playback, so if you're actually curious about these games.
Neil just did a really in-depth article about games and storage size and converting them to digital and the pros and cons of that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and of course, if you want us to actually play a game, you can ask us. We actually have currently one coming up soon.
We're all ears.
Yeah. We got a Steady and Emerald showing later this month, which will be really cool.
Plus other stuff. Maybe, we'll let you. You'll figure it out. We don't want to spoil anything.
But for now, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this has been the Roll for Crit podcast. Thank you for watching.